Welcome to Venture with Joe and Cody, where we take a deep dive into the minds of leaders and innovators making a real impact today. I'm Joe.
And I'm Cody. And we're here to bring you the raw stories, the successes, and the setbacks that these trailblazers have experienced in their journey to where they are today.
Every week, we sit down with a new guest who's ready to share their insight and advice on business, entrepreneurship, and making a difference in their community. From local community members to industry experts, you're going to get the unfiltered truth behind their success.
So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just curious about the business world, join us for a journey of learning and inspiration.
So let's grab a drink, settle in, and let's get started. This is Venture with Joe and Cody. Hey everyone, welcome to Venture with Joe and Cody. I'm Joe Skipper, the owner of Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty. And over to my left, as I'm looking at you,
Hey,
is
you're on
Cody
my left
Wilhelm,
too.
the Residential Mortgage. What's going on, man?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. You feeling better?
I'm feeling better. I still have a little bit of kind of throatness, congestion, but I feel back to normal and fine. So
Nice. Well, you made
good
the
to go.
people miss us in a podcast last week, so I hope you're happy with yourself.
I
The
I
amount
am.
of complaints in the inbox of,
Yeah.
the people wanted to see our latest ideas and topics and our opinions on them. It was overwhelming. So I had
And
to
to
deal with
that, I
that.
say absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That's true. Well, here we're back. Everyone gets us
Yes.
back, our fresh faces, not
Heck
sick
yeah.
faces. So
Right.
yeah, man. Anything new in your world?
Well, from the personal side, we got sports kicking back up.
Yeah. What have you got?
Eli,
You got kids in baseball?
soccer and flag
Soccer.
football. Yep. So Eli, our oldest, today's the last day of tryouts for high school soccer.
Okay.
So he's,
Well, he's in high
there's like,
school?
huh?
He's in high school?
He's in high school. He's a freshman. Yeah.
Jeez,
I
man.
know.
Crazy. You're like an old.
Old. Yeah. So he is, he's excited. He's actually done really well just from like the mental side because they're cutting
Yeah.
18 players. They only have
Jeez.
they don't have a freshman team. So it's only varsity and JV. And there were like 55 players. And I think they have to trim it down to 38 or something like that.
Wow.
So he's in a good mental place of like, all I
Yeah.
can do is just go play and have fun and whatever happens, happens. So
Yeah.
it's you view it differently from the parent side because
Absolutely.
you're like,
Yeah.
oh, dude, I'm not trying to build him up or anything. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like I believe that he'll do fine. But so it's kind of cool. It's actually been kind of fun to watch too because
Yeah.
leading up to that, you've got the select players that play in the select
Yeah.
leagues, and then you've got the rec players. So seeing so many of these guys be really good soccer players, I'm excited, assuming he makes it, to just be able to watch that level
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Watch that level of
competition
play
too.
for sure.
His teams have always been one of the better teams, if not the best team in the rec leagues.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to see just that higher level of competition across the board. So
That's cool, man. That's a big deal. We were just watching
yeah,
at Wilsonville was playing in the final home game of the season in basketball. And
nice.
Christina was like, is Rory going to be here?
Uh-huh.
Are we going to be the parents? Like we looked across at all the parents, freaking out about everything and their
Yeah.
kids. And I was like, man, we could be in this position in
Right?
the not too distant future. It's just a higher level of
It is.
sports, and you obviously get used to it as you go because you adapt to the kids' age
Yeah.
as whatever they are. But yeah, we were like,
Sure.
man, can you picture him in high school doing this, like
Right?
a man, like, and
Yeah.
I thought about Yamhill Carlton and I was like, we just didn't have this big of guys. Like
No.
they're all just like super amazing athletes. Granted, Yamhill
Uh-huh.
Carlton is a smaller town, so we didn't have that
Sure.
in general. But I was like, some of those
Yeah.
kids, I'm like, I just don't remember seeing them being that huge
Right.
and that like
Yes.
manly. Like it's
I
just
know.
crazy to think about.
Well, and I don't remember there being, and maybe there were for other sports that I didn't play, but like cuts. I don't feel like there were. I
Yeah.
don't know that we had enough people to make cuts.
No,
And
I
so
don't
you do
think
kind
so.
of,
Maybe here and there, but yeah.
yeah, you take the higher of the quality
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
too. But that's like I was telling Eli last night. I'm like, I can't even really like where I went to school. You played every position you could,
Yes.
and
Yes.
whether you
Wherever
were
you're
capable
needed.
of it or not,
Wherever
they
you were
needed
needed.
bodies.
Man, that's too funny. Well, Rory's getting in for the first time. He's getting into lacrosse this year.
Really? How'd that
So,
happen?
so we were going to do 7v7 of football, but I think he just, we're going to miss a lot of the tournaments anyways. And so I wanted to keep him in something that he can do consistently. His friends,
Yeah.
there's some friends that play football, that play lacrosse and play basketball,
Okay.
that play lacrosse. And I just think it'll be a good physical activity for him and good workout. And if he likes it, we pursue that a little bit more, but
Yeah.
this will be his first year doing it. So it's weird
That's
to
cool.
to go into something as a parent and as a kid that don't know a sport. Like I don't know, I
Right.
know very little about the sport
Same
besides
here.
scoring and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting. We're looking forward to it. We're going into state this week for basketball. So the last weekend
Nice.
of state. And so that'll be good.
Where's that at?
And that'll be in Salem.
Okay.
Yep. It starts Friday and then goes through Sunday. And so we'll see. We're top 5 in the state right now. So
Really?
we'll see how it goes.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. But that's that. And then Cora's got his spring soccer and dance. But yeah, that's the personal life. It was so funny because I think we've talked about it. It's like the people always are like, hey, how are you doing? What's the latest updates? And it's like, nothing.
I don't know. Yeah.
I go to work and I take my kids to whatever sport is that season. That's what we do. So, which is a good thing. It's just funny because you want to have some cool story.
Yeah.
Like we just did this or we just did that.
Right?
It's like, no, I just Uber my kids around after work.
I know. I always hate answering. I'll ask the question, but I always hate answering it at times because I'm like, I honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I don't remember if anything cool happened. So
for sure.
It's either like, oh, just enjoying not having sports going on or enjoying having sports going on. Because outside of work and regular life, it's like, that seems to be the only kind of variable. Otherwise,
I know.
Just kind of either working or
for sure. But that's a good life though. That's a good life.
Yeah. Can't complain.
We enjoy it. And we like, it's not something that I say in a negative way that we don't have anything going on, but it's like, it just is what it is. There's nothing, I didn't go on this crazy trip to, some foreign country and, like do anything crazy.
Exactly.
I just, taking my kids to sports. So
right.
We were talking about it because lacrosse is rec. And so it's just generally one game a weekend. And we're like, what are we going to do for the rest of the weekend? I was like, probably go to other friends' sports.
Yeah, right.
We don't know what else to do. It'll be like, we won't go to ours. We'll go to one of his other friends.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, well, today, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was going to say someday I'm going to have my golf simulator set up and then that'll be my update of everything.
That's nice.
It's like, I just got to go hit golf balls in the shop.
Is that a for sure plan or is that just a dream?
It is a dream and a plan.
Okay. Okay. Working your way there. Good.
I put a net in there right now. So so it's like phase 1 of I've got
getting
a place
it all
where I
set
can
up.
hit golf balls and just at least swing, and then I'm just going to kind of slowly add to it, and eventually I'd like to have something where I can actually
That's cool.
Play some golf in there and just have a place to, because right now hitting into a net is nice because I can swing, but I can't see where the ball would have gone.
Yeah, you don't see what happened. So for sure. Yeah. Well, there's I know I don't think you're as into TikTok as I am, but man, if you just type in like golf simulator, there's like video after video of people building. I got into like that rabbit hole a little bit of like people just taking these little shops and building these like, golf simulators is like, it's pretty impressive.
I've definitely done the YouTube nerding out on it over the years because I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I just, if I wanted to do it the way that I wanted to, like right from the get-go, it is expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, maybe I'll just kind of chip away at it and eventually get there. But if I can just have a place to hit some golf balls here and there,
for sure,
then I'm thrilled. And
for sure,
one of our friends, I'll finish on this. Their daughters are trying out for the golf team. And so when Eli and their brother found out, they were like, oh, we want to do that too. So they're looking at potentially trying to join the golf team in the fall. So I'm like, all right, well, that's even more motivation. Give them a place to swing the clubs and kind of get used to it a little more.
Have they done it before?
No, I mean, Eli has. We've gone out and played, but not consistently or like, we're not going out. It's hit the driving range, or if we go on vacation, him and I will go play 9 holes somewhere. But nothing outside of that.
Cool. Well, you want to get to work here? Stop talking about our personal lives?
Yeah.
We were going to talk today about buyers and sellers' mistakes and also real estate agents and lenders' mistakes in the real estate
Yes.
world and what they commonly do. We don't want to just harp on buyers and sellers because we understand that people make mistakes and you don't do this very often.
Yeah.
But we want to bring them up so that, people that are listening that are buying or selling can kind of have an idea of kind of the common mistakes that they make. But also, if you're a real estate agent or lender out there listening, that will show you the mistakes that I think real estate agents make, and that you can speak to what lenders' mistakes they make to hurt the buying process and selling process and all that stuff. So, yeah, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. I will.
You want to start off with some buying mistakes?
Yeah. So from a lending side, I think one of the biggest buyer mistakes, and this is going to start general and then I'll kind of fine tune it, is doing things without talking to your loan officer about it. And
you just stole mine indirectly, by the way. Go ahead.
And it can be all sorts of things, right? Purchasing large items, opening up new lines of credit, credit cards, changing your job, moving a bunch of money around. Like, none of those things are problems typically. But what ends up being the biggest problem with it all is that anytime something like that happens, we now need that paper trail. The numbers could change because you opened up a new credit card or you bought this thing. And so it's like those little changes for the most part don't really make a big difference, but they can cause such a headache for you and for the lender too, because now you got to track all this other paperwork and document this and change this. And now we got to make sure that everything's still going to work the way that we had initially had it set up. So it's kind of a general thing, but I always try to tell people, like, if you're going to do anything crazy that's outside of your norm, like, just let me know.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for me to give you permission, but just so that I can know, so that I can say, okay, if you do this, here are the things that we're going to need to do, rather than me just surprising you with it. So that's a big one. For the most part, people will ask, hey, what happens if I change my job?
Yeah.
I've got a job offer. What do I do? And most of that stuff we can walk through and work through, and it's usually not a problem. It's those surprise ones where you're like, okay, well, shoot, let's see what we can figure out here. Let's put this together. Here's all the stuff that we're going to need, and hopefully everything comes together as planned. Because, when we do a pre-approval and we put stuff together, it's based on that current situation. So not to say that things can't change outside of that, but when they do, it really does kind of change our approval, what the underwriters is looking for, maybe already seen. Big thing is just communication. I always try to remind people that, like, I'm your partner in this, right? Like, I'm going to help you to get this figured out. So don't feel like you can't tell me things. I want to know every detail that you're willing to share with me so that I can help put things together, or caution you or tell you, hey, no, let's not do that. Can you wait 2 weeks? I've had people do that with buying a car. They're like, I really need to get a car. And I'm like, I feel bad.
We're closing on this date. Just hold off.
I feel bad because I'm like, I know how much that probably sucks, but if you can wait like 2 more weeks until we close, please do, because that's you might be able to still make it work, but that's just going to be a nightmare of getting everything together, and who knows what it all is going to look like. But
for sure,
that's my initial one would just be communication.
Yeah, and I would say, like, kind of to piggyback on that and give advice to buyers is, even if you think it's not a big deal, the lending industry, whether Cody likes it or not, sucks. Like, in the sense of, like, they're very strict on the various things that go on in the lending world. It's not just residential mortgage. It's every single lender is very strict on how your finances go. So even if you're like super wealthy, the home you're buying is super affordable, you can pay that and still buy a Lamborghini. It doesn't matter to the lender. Like, if you make those things thinking in your head with your family, like, oh yeah, let's just go buy this. We can totally afford that. You'd be surprised at how much you can wreck a mortgage. So I would say, like, for the 30 days, the 45 days you're under contract, whatever it is, just don't go out the norm.
Yes. Stick to the plan.
And talk to your lender, because I think that what we find is most people do it innocently that are, like, truly able to afford the stuff. They're not doing anything reckless on a day-to-day basis according to their world. But to the lending world, every big purchase is a big almost ding at some point, you know? So my suggestion is yes, that is a common mistake people make. But even the job, like I switch jobs, but it's not a big deal because I get paid more, or I get
Right.
paid like the exact same. But the lending institution, it does not see that. It's like, oh, cool, man, just give you a fist pound and like move on. But so just really think about that and we find that a lot with buyers, just total innocence, thinking it's nothing. And in the lending world, it's a very strict underwriting process.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the the good and the bad with what happened with the crash back in 08, 09 is there were very little guidelines, and now there are so many guidelines, which is good. It's preventing us from going back down that, because I can imagine
For sure.
if we still didn't have rules and we're in the current environment that we're in, we probably would have gone right back into that space of giving everybody mortgages that probably shouldn't afford it, finding ways to get them lower, adjustable
sure.
rates, and it would have been just kind of repeating the same cycle. But I will say the downside is it now, and has been like this way ever since I've been in it. There is so much little wiggle room for anything.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of common
Or any crazy
sense when it
changes. Yeah.
comes to how things are viewed. It is like, does it fit the guideline? If it doesn't, sorry. Even though I could plead the case, the buyer could plead the case, like it makes sense, and the underwriter might even say, look, I totally get this makes sense, but
Yeah.
this is what the guideline says, and
For sure.
just because it makes sense to us doesn't mean, because what it, the other part to it, like everything that in life, it all comes down to money. Is the investor going to be able to make money on it? And if they can't, meaning if it doesn't fit the guidelines and they can't sell the loan, it can't get backed by Fannie Mae,
Yeah.
they're not gonna risk all their money on it. So
For
it's
sure.
it all just eventually boils down to the end game of who's making money and can they safely make money on it from the mortgage side, right? Like,
For sure.
it's all just investor based. You might be able to close the loan, no problem, but if the investor doesn't buy the loan, well, now you're stuck with it. So now you're, and that might not be your business model, right? Like, you see that with a lot of companies where they don't service loans, and that's because they're just not built in a way to do that. So if they can't sell the loan, they have money to be able to service it, but that's not the way that they built their model. So now that money is tied up.
Yeah.
And now that happens enough times, and they're looking at it going, now we got $10 million worth of money that's tied up in holding on to these loans that we're just not set up in this way. So
and for buyers out there,
so picky.
Like, to clarify what Cody's talking about, is most of the time that you go with a lender, they're not holding on to your loan. So your mortgage might be through residential mortgage, but they have to look at what it's going to be to sell it. They have a business model that doesn't hold on to 300 mortgages for people.
Yeah.
So anyways, just for you buyers out there, that's more of the back end of lending.
Yes.
They normally are going to sell your mortgage to another company.
Yeah, the nerdy, annoying side.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about that is a common mistake, and I think this kind of balances into the real estate agent mess ups and buyer mess ups, is what buyers can do besides negotiating on price to get a good offer. Especially nowadays. Traditionally, you think, well, I go into a house at $500,000, I want to offer $490,000 because then I'll get a deal.
Yeah.
And that on the surface could be good. What I think maybe it's a lack of education, maybe it's on the lender side, that buyers don't get educated on the closing costs that are associated with the buyer, that a buyer has to pay to get a mortgage, and how much that is and how that can be negotiated. So it's kind of this roundabout thing of like, so buyers, there are tons of ways to get you into a home that doesn't necessarily mean, well, I just need the home at this price. Really, what we find a lot is that buyers need a home at a certain mortgage price, which that is flexible. For example, a $500,000 home, rather than asking for $10,000 off the price of the house, you can offer dollars in closing cost credit that the seller will pay for you. And that will buy down your rate, or put an extra $10,000 that stays in your pocket that we're going to go into the lending process. I think what we find is a lot of mistakes, and I think a lot of real estate agents and a lot of lenders don't really explain that to buyers, is that it's not, the price is not always the issue. and that there's a lot of negotiations that can happen within a sale that is not just the price. I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, no, and I see that a lot too from our side, where that's what, part of the initial conversation is that I have with people is how much are you putting down? What do you have available to put down? What do you have available to use towards this transaction? And then it's figuring out, okay, here's how much the down payment is. Here's how much the closing costs are.
Yeah.
You have to do the down payment, right? There's no getting out of that option. But if we can get out of paying the closing costs out of pocket, then absolutely, right? Let's see if we can navigate that. Not all sellers, not all homes, not all markets are going to allow that. But to your point, I think it is something that really is an important thing to be factored in, because if you can save that, moving is expensive. And if you can wrap it in, especially when you price it out and go, all right, $10,000 more on your mortgage really is not a lot as far as your payment is concerned.
Yeah.
Keeping it in your pocket, investing it, using it for emergencies, whatever, it's going to have so much more of an impact. But it's nice to be able to plan for that and not have it be a knee-jerk reaction.
For sure.
We need this.
Yeah. What do you see like a common or a pet peeve of yours that lenders do that you think don't help anyone?
Yeah.
Or someone in particular that you're like, it doesn't help the seller, it doesn't help the buyer, it doesn't help whatever.
Yeah. I think probably the most common issue tends to be around calculating income. And that should be done in the pre-approval process. But it could be it could be that they don't really properly know how to calculate that type of income. Maybe they don't have all the documents that they needed or should have got up front. So by the time they get those documents, when you're in the middle of the transaction and something comes up, it's like, oh, no, we weren't expecting this. And sometimes that is out of the lender's control. But at the same time, calculating income tends to be the one, like when I have somebody that reaches out to me and like, hey, this deal couldn't go through because the lender couldn't get them approved. It's 99% of the time, it has to do with their income, because otherwise it would be a, house related issue or something that nobody's probably going to be able to lend on it. And a lot of times it ends up being that company or that underwriter was not willing to or able to calculate the income this way, or because I will say too that the underwriter is looking at the way that you have put it together. So it's not that the underwriter says, hey, I got what you sent me. You did it wrong, so I did it correctly for you. I fixed everything for you. You're good to go. They're looking at it and they're going to go, this isn't going to work the way that you set it up, whether that's based on the documents or how you've done everything. So that tends to be the biggest issue, is not properly calculating the income in the beginning at the pre-approval stage. And I've had some that have come to me where I'm like, I honestly don't know what they were doing here, because this is, and we've turned around and closed the loan like totally fine. Not some weird exception based thing, not some funky like, hey, let's try to fix all these issues. It's like, no, this all looks fine. So I think from a loan officer standpoint, that is one of the hardest parts of the job, is feeling confident and good with calculating your income.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of doing it over and over. But I think that there's some that will look at it and they'll say either, no, I can't because it's too complicated for me and everybody else is busy and I can't get some help, and there's pressure because you want to put an offer in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to screw it up, or I'm not confident enough to say yes, so I'm just going to say no, or what it is. But a lot of times it's just a matter of, because you have to be conservative with your calculation. I don't want to be the one that's like, sure, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And then underwriter looks at it and they're like, what are you doing? Like,
so that's open to interpretation then, huh? Like you can have a lender take my info and give me a completely different story than you.
Yep.
And that's based on experience.
Yep.
Or training,
experience, knowing the guidelines, knowing what you can and can't do.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's a matter of what, maybe it was poor training, right? Where they're like, oh, I remember hearing that you can't do overtime unless there's 2 years history. It's like, well, no, the guidelines want a 2-year history, but they also say they're willing to do a 1 year history as long as it's stable and the year to date is good. So a lot of times it's those little things where one person might say, no, we can't use that. We can't get you enough. And the other person can say, well, if you look at the guidelines, it says this. So therefore, we've done our documentation checklist, and yeah, we can get you that extra $400 a month from your overtime. It's, again, the underwriter's not going to fix it for you.
Yeah, they're just going to tell you
Most of the time
wrong.
they're going to say,
Yeah.
hey, if you go get this, this, and this, we should be able to use the overtime income. But
That's
they're not going
interesting.
to just like go out of their way and just do it for you. They're going to just give you, they're going to say, hey, based on what we have, I can't approve this. So until we get something else that proves that we can, right now we got to figure something else out. And then it's on us, the loan officer, to go, all right, where did I screw up? What can we do? Let me double check the guidelines, yada, yada, yada. So
That's interesting. I didn't know that was like for up for negotiation in that sense. Not negotiation, but
yeah.
that's crazy. Which leads me to this, and this might be kind of along the same lines, is over promising and under delivering in the real estate world specifically.
Yeah.
If we want to talk a pet peeve of mine, and I hate it, but the fact that agents go in to win a client and will tell them whatever they want. Like their house is worth 750 according to the market. They're like, dude, we could get you 900,000 easy, just to win the listing. And then they chase the market down. And I hate it because should be, I don't even know how you'd manage it, but it should be unethical. It should be something that the agent should be pursued by the real estate agency for, because I think it's unethical. And I think that it hurts sellers. It hurts our reputation, but we see it over and over again, and it's never provable, but it's like, they overpromise, and it pisses me off because it's just lying to them just to win the client. And because knowing that most clients generally don't switch agents once they've signed the contract, even if it is for 6 months, 5 months, whatever, they just are like at a point, they're like, just keep it going, get this place sold, and bad agents know that, and they know that they can promise anything. And just knowing that ultimately they'll get to the market price or below, but at least I got a client. Sure. I don't know if that's similar to lending in the same sense of like, yeah, you're qualified. Like this will be super easy. Does that something that goes on regularly, or is that less common?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's probably more person to person on maybe, I don't know, their confidence or what. Like I know I'm a people pleaser. I'm a person that likes to be able to do everything I can to make something work or help a situation. So it's something that I have to like naturally fight in myself.
Yeah.
Because I want to say yes.
For sure.
Not just for the paycheck, but also for like hey, I want to be able to save this deal, or this person has never been able to buy, and I want to be the one that helps them to get that. But I think that the important thing is just to know, from the lending side in particular, knowing when to say yes and when to say no, because you can ruin your reputation just as quick by saying yes and doing a bad job. You're not going to ruin your reputation by saying no and saying, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, we're not able to
you may
do
lose
this.
an individual client, but it's not going to ruin your reputation.
And if so, let me see if I can help connect you with somebody that can, right?
For sure. I
want to be able to help you. And I've honestly I've had referrals from clients that I was not able to help, because they were like, hey, at least, thank you for taking the time and just at least explaining to me. But I think from the lending side, it is a lot of that overpromise, underdeliver, whether that be timeline, whether that be what they can do, qualifying, how something's working, because they're just trying to make it work. But outside of that, I think it's just a overall one person at a time, how they like to conduct their business. If they like to conduct their business in a way that's going to continue long term, I think you're probably better off. Just like you've probably seen experiences or your own stuff where you're like, I don't want to take this on. Like, this is probably going to be worse for me and for the client, and I don't want to be the one that takes them through that.
For sure. I lost you for a second with the internet connection, but I think what I kind of wanted to put in is that it benefits us to make more money for your house. Like I tell all my clients, look, if I could sell your house for $2 million, I would. but it only benefits me. But we also being honest and getting you the most money with this market is the only way to do it. And so I just like, that's a pet peeve of mine that I find I can never prove it, but I'll see listings and I'm like, you just want it only because
Yeah.
you're going to list it for what they want you to list it at, and then you're going to drop it over like 90 days. Like, and then because no one ever goes with, I had a specific example. I won't use anything, but basically I went in saying, okay, what was it? I think I'm just going to use generic numbers ish, but something like to the point of I was 1.2 million selling this house. I lost the listing and they listed with another person at like 1.5. And I was like, no, it's not going to sell. It's not going to sell. But I know that agent probably was like, oh yeah, like you could get whatever you wanted. And the reason I know like 1.5 was the number was because they had said that's what they wanted. That's, you know. And so I lost the listing. I said, look, I would love to get you 1.5, but the market's not showing it. Well, guess what? A year goes by and they sell for 1.2. So
really,
anyways, I kind of was justified internally, but it was a specific example of I knew because I knew the inside scoop of what the seller wanted. And I didn't give it to him, and I lost the listing. And then sure enough, it goes on the market for the price that they want.
Yeah,
and I was like, I get it. Like, you know, they wanted to win this listing and told them whatever they wanted. They did not switch agents. It stayed on the market for over a year and ended up going for the price that I told them that it should go for. Anyways, this is not a pat on the back to me. It's more of just like seeing that agents, be careful who you work with, and an agent that's like, you're right. Everything that you want, it can happen. Your wildest dreams can come true with me, you know? So just
and I wouldn't want that. I know some people do. Some people are like, I want to be the one in control and you're just the one that has the sign out front. But I personally would want it to be like, look, I don't know what I'm doing. So if you tell me, I'm going to assume that this is for my benefit. If you tell me to do X, Y, and Z, or hey, it's not realistic to list here, you know, that might be a tough pill to swallow if I'm expecting to make $300,000 more on my house. But at the same time, I want that reality. I want to know, like,
for sure.
All right, if we go here and it sits, it's my fault, right? And I will drop the price or whatever it is, but.
Yeah, I think it gets, you know, it's a hard conversation. Like you said, you're a people pleaser. And I always am like, okay, can we get there? Can we get to that price?
Sure.
Like, and you try to kind of work and see how that could work. And then sometimes you're like, okay, I missed this, or I didn't see this, or this house has this, you know, but sometimes it doesn't. And it just hurts to say that, but it's not for a lack of me trying to to offload this house for no money, you know, just so I can deal. It's like, this is just what the market is. So, anyways, just watch out, buyers or sellers, like for agents that are, especially in this market where it's tougher for agents. We're seeing lenders and real estate agents leave the industry. You're going to find more desperation from agents, at least the agent side of like, hey, I'll do anything to get this deal. Like, so pay attention to that.
You know, even with that, it all boils down to just communication, right? Like being open and having those conversations about, here's what we need to, in order for us to sell our house, here's how much we have to make, or whatever it is. Like just communicating that so there's open, because then it gives a little bit more understanding from you and I's side too, of like why, rather than just, this is a number because my uncle said that I should be able to sell my house for this much. And it's like, if you can tell me why, then sure, I might be able to get a little more on board with that. But if you're just wanting to sell it at this price because you remember that back in 2021, houses were selling like crazy, you know, it's going to be a different story, but
for sure. Yeah. Well, I don't know if we wanted to go on a 2-part. I don't want to go too much longer here, but
yeah,
we'll kind of maybe see if we want to go with a 2-part next week and talk some more stuff, or if we just want to move on.
Yeah.
But
we'll
if
see
people
what the masses want.
Yeah. I was going to say, if people are listening, comment, let us know if you want to hear more lender mistakes, real estate agent mistakes, and, or seller and buyer mistakes that you can avoid to be better off. So if you want that, comment below. Let me or Cody know. Text us. If you don't, and you're not listening at this point, then you don't get a say.
Yeah. Maybe next time we go into year 1 of us in the business and we just start remembering all those mistakes that we did personally.
Yeah, I know. I do think I serve my clients well, but like you just learn and you get better. And so, you know, it's not a point where I'm like, dude, I screwed up.
Right.
But you do think you're like, man, just the experience you get means a lot. So
Totally. And like you said, it's not a lot of like big, deal killing screw ups.
Yeah, like this
But
could
it's
have
little
been.
things where you're like, I'll never do that again.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
that stings.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, my man. Well, have a good week. It's good to have you back healthy. And
As well. Thank you.
yeah, we'll chat soon.
That sounds great.
Okay, see you, man.
All right. See ya.